My name is Gustavus. I am a centurion. I was called in today by the Roman governor Pontius Pilate to crucify 3 criminals. This is a kind of job that nobody really wants to do, but I've been doing this, it seems like, for days and days. The Jewish people are a strong people and with a fighting spirit and do not like to come under the rule of us Romans. But I know something different today about one of the criminals. Jesus of Nazareth, he was called. His crime, Pontius Pilate says his crime is that he's the king of the Jews. I feel like there was some irony there in this. Pontius Pilate called us in and told us to take the prisoner, and we took the prisoner and we whipped him. And we whipped him the maximum amount of stripes that we would give to any man. 40 minus 1. This is a hard punishment. Many have died even under this punishment. You see, our whips are not just pieces of leather, but rather it's leather filled with sharp objects that are meant to tear up someone's back and shoulders. Really would rip their back apart. And blood would come pouring out. And that's what it did on Jesus. He survived that punishment, and so we picked him up and we brought him into the courtyard and we surrounded him. We put on a purple robe and began to mock him. Hail, King of the Jews. We began to hit him and the blows were put upon him. And then we put on him a crown of thorns that we had made. And we would not put it on lightly. We put the crown on his head and jammed it down on top of him until those long thorns would go deep into his scalp. And while he stood there mute, while we hit him, his blood came pouring out of his head and down his beard. But that wasn't the end of it. We sent him back to Pilate, thinking perhaps now Pilate would be assuaged by what he had done. But it seemed the Jewish people thought that wasn't enough. They had such hate for this man. And so finally the chants rang out loud and clear. Crucify him! Crucify him! Pilate wanted to keep the peace and didn't want to release us into the crowd. So he released a criminal that we had been looking for years. A man named Barabbas, a killer, a murderer. Released to the people. And instead we crucified Jesus of Nazareth. While we took him up the road up to the hill called Golgotha. Along the way, he was so weak from the loss of blood and the pain that he was enduring with a cross on his back that we had to relieve him of the cross. Finally, we got to the top of the hill and we put the horizontal piece of our cross down in the cross, laid Jesus on it, took a long spike, put his feet together with a hammer, one spike right through his feet. It is impossible for someone not to cry out in pain. And Jesus did. Then we took his hands, each one of them, and we nailed him to the cross like this. By this point in time, we had taken off his purple robe and we sat before him while he was on the cross and we gambled over it. And I won it. I won this robe. At that time, I was pretty joyous, but I'm not feeling it now. I'm not so sure that this is a victory today. While Jesus was on the cross, I heard him say a few things as I watched over him, that he was thirsty. He told one man to take care of his mother. Who would think about that at such a time as this? He did. And I heard this. As he cried out in pain, he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Oh, that cut me. It cut me in my heart that he was forgiving me for crucifying him. I looked at him again there. Who is this man that would say such a thing? To walk in forgiveness while he was dying on a cross. But I have to be honest with you, it wasn't like peace came to my heart. It was like burning coals were heaped upon me. That he would say such a good and kind thing in his hour of death. It wasn't long and the sky suddenly turned dark. It was midday. A storm was coming in. It wasn't looking good. And all of a sudden I heard him shout, Father, Father, why have you forsaken me? Who was he talking to? Who? Who was his father? I did not see him in the crowd. He looked up while he said it. He looked to the sky. He looked to the gods. He looked to his Father. It seemed some time later that he yelled out again. He said, "It is finished. Into your hands I commit my spirit." He took one last breath, and then he died. I was so moved by that. I could help but say, surely that this man was the Son of God. He was the Son of God. That much I can't help but say. He was different than any man I had ever seen. The way he died with purpose. Who dies with purpose? Well, we knew that he was dead, but we must make sure. I took my spear and I jammed it in his side. As I pulled it out, I saw blood and water come gushing out. This man was dead. He had died from a burst heart. He had given his life for what he must have believed in. Now I need to know, who is this man? He was no ordinary man. But who will I seek? Who will tell me about this Jesus? You. Will you tell me about Jesus? Will you? I need to know. Who is this Jesus?